Willow Creek Springs presents Healthy Living with your host, Joe Grumbine.
Anyway.
Different soil, things like that.
And the species might be slightly different, but there's a lack of research there as to what we can grow locally.
Absolutely.
And what that benefits. Because honestly, since we live here,
right.
it is possible that we can benefit even more from that local source.
And our region
and it's
here...
harder and harder to bring, herbs in from China that are actually unsulfated or untreated.
Yes.
And it's going to get harder and harder.
It's just going to keep getting
Especially
harder.
Especially as, the environment keeps changing and the temperatures everywhere. So I think being adaptable and being like, okay, this isn't the right exact species that they used traditionally, but how can we grow from this and where can we still heal?
Agreed. And the truth is, herbs are so complex that it's not like a single molecule drug where you can study this one drug and how its systems are, what it does. And every single herb is a symphony of compounds, and they're complex. And generally, you don't just take one; you generally combine things. So you have this entourage effect of so many pieces.
Even within the same species, one grows here, one goes there, and it's gonna release different secondary metabolites.
Always,
it's inevitable, and it's gonna grow bigger or smaller because it's adapting.
And in each person, it's going to react differently to their own environment, and so much of holistic healing and natural modalities are intuitive and based on practice, and it's not such an exact science as a whole science. And you learn techniques, and you learn to observe, and you learn to notice when things are doing this, that's what's happening, and you can adapt and adjust, and you learn the ideas, the concepts, the categories of things. You've got these brackets of types of things and types of systems and all of that. But really, when it comes down to the specifics in a molecular level, it's so complicated. You really can't honestly put your finger down on this stuff.
You can. It just costs a lot of money.
A lot of money.
Research, clinical research, as well as trials and...
all of it.
People want to get paid for this because they're either students or graduates, and it's just not easy to come by.
Exactly.
Without the time and money. And so, I don't know, I feel like there is room for potentially NGO grants in this aspect.
I think there totally is.
As far as funding research to find out these small differences between things that have already been researched.
Absolutely.
And things that we can change to make it better because we're growing it locally, or because we're using less water, less resources.
So many different
all these little things,
variables you can kind of tweak a little bit. That's a big thing of Gardens of Hope, is it's a series of experimental gardens. And there's all these permaculture techniques and claims and this and that. I says, well, there's also so many different regions and so many different microclimates and so many different ways that it could be different. So you over in LA, well, you got a whole different way that the sun and the wind and the moisture and all of the elements affect you, and even the traffic and the smog and the radiant heat coming off of the buildings. So that I'm over here and I've got the desert wind coming out. I've got, no buildings around here. So we got different factors that affect only 40 miles apart, but yet we're two different worlds. And so we could grow the same exact plants in your bed and my bed and water them even with the same water and watch them, and they would be different. And so that's important to be able to observe. And, for me, I really think that these experiments are so important. And we do have experiments, everything from electroculture to different composting techniques to we have a hugelkultur back there. We have
hugelkultur.
What
is
a
this?
Hugelkultur, that's that mound garden behind the greenhouse back there.
Okay.
And it's basically an Eastern European system where you take a big old pile of old wood and you stack it up, and then you start layering soil and compost over the top of it.
Oh, I remember. It's where you have growing some lettuce. And
a bunch of vegetables.
Yeah.
There's those trellis hoops.
Okay, so the theory is to like just kind of build compost layers on itself.
Yeah, well, you have the wood inside of it, and the wood is basically a big water battery. Okay. And wood over time will break down and leave carbon and phosphorus and potassium for the most part. It doesn't let a lot of nitrogen go, but all the other composting elements bring your nitrogen out. And so a big part of it is it just holds water. Wood gets soft and spongy, and it becomes a sponge. And out here in Southern California, water is everything. And so what happens is the roots start going down into it, and they tap into it, and they go down pretty deep because it's all nice and rich and soft. And all of a sudden, you take that same vegetables and plant them outside the fence in the native soil and give them the same water as I do on the hugelkultur 10 feet away, and the hugelkultur will thrive because it's got nutrients, it holds the water, it creates a microbiome underneath the soil with mycorrhizae and all the animals that allow the nutrients to transfer into the roots, and it all, you have this biodynamic system that works. Yeah. And I demonstrate it. You know, I plant vegetables all over the place. Yeah, I don't know if you noticed, we call it a food forest. So if you're looking around, walking along the stream, you see broccoli plants and
I did kind of notice that.
Kale plants.
It was like kind of randomly just
sort of over there.
That must have just hopped its way over here. But we
plant them, and then eventually we let them go to seed. Okay. And eventually they start to sprout, and then they become naturalized. And then we grow microgreens, and if we don't harvest them, when they just have their cotyledon leaves on them, they become a plant. Yeah. And you can still eat them, but they become just, young plants rather than microgreens. And usually I'll just take them and plant them. And just scatter them along the stream, or I'll put them in pots. And
you're wild.
They let them go wild. So that's my goal.
Cool.
Is around. Plus we have fruit trees all around, a bunch of little citrus trees. And my goal is that everywhere you walk, you can reach and grab something to eat.
I like that.
Why couldn't it be that way, right?
Yeah, I like that.
And landscaping, what is that? It's just plants. Well, there's herbs that are pretty, and there's food that's pretty, and you can have ornamentals too, but really, why not have plants that serve a purpose?
Definitely.
If you're going to put water and time and energy into it. And so
I agree with that.
That's a big part of this, is we're integrating, just sort of a classic Southern California garden into a useful garden. Yeah. And
you're helping me brainstorm right now as far as workshops that I can host.
Yes.
So not only, do I envision a place where I can host a workshop to do a self-massage with very minimal tools, or, completely reduce the pain of your cycle by just some simple points on your hands.
Nice.
So like acupressure, but then also teaching people that, soil is the source of your food.
You bet.
Which just sounds so simple, but a lot of people just don't make the connection.
And we have literally 30 years of composting here. So when we moved here, I've never taken a leaf or a branch out of this property.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And so everything...
Why not? Just give it back to the same
Exactly. So I got this giant composting operation over in the corner. We've had worm farm here. We've done all kinds of stuff. But literally we mix the soil together from compost, sand from the creek, and a little perlite, and mix it all together. And we have this beautiful potting mix blend.
Yeah, that's
and everything grows beautifully in it. So acupressure, let's talk about that a little bit. It's why don't you explain what that is?
Acupressure is when you apply pressure to a point that's already been defined as part of the meridian system. Okay. And combining different points would result in a different outcome, obviously. And so
this meridian system, the way I understand it, it's like kind of like the nervous system, in the sense of it's like lines where energy flows.
Yes, but I don't associate it to the nervous system at all. The more I learn about it, the more fascinated I am by it. And I mean, with 3,000 years of knowledge, I know about this much, right?
And I know even less. So
yeah, and so what I find fascinating is how points work together, right? So a point here at my leg can work really well with a point at my hand.
Okay.
And so not only can acupressure trigger both those points, but you penetrate deeply trying to heal a certain something that you can do at home.
Right.
And so teaching people how to associate certain things to symptoms and ailments is, I think, huge for something that you can do at home. Most people, you go to your practitioner and you expect them to do all the work.
They're going to do this for you.
Which I honestly actively try to let people know, like, you're doing the work.
Yeah.
And they're like, come back, like, thanking me up and down. And I'm like, it was your body. I always try to give the props back to the patient.
Yeah.
And then also let them know what they're doing at home is going to go further than what I'm doing at the clinic.
Nice.
As far as eating, as far as the exercises I have you do, whatever that is. As far as if I put ear seeds on your ear, are you applying pressure for 3 days to where it hurts? Just like, you know, when I apply the seed. All that's going to go further, and that's on your time.
Sure.
And so acupressure, I mean, honestly, one simple one I can tell you now that is one of my favorites. I definitely have cycle pain during my first day of my cycle.
Okay.
And it's something I've actively worked on since learning about the medicine. It's progressively gotten better.
Okay.
If I'm taking my herbs, it's exponentially better. When I'm not, I can still, you gotta
do the
go
work.
back to the old tendencies, and my body will still be way more in pain than it would have been if I would have been consistent with my herbs.
Right.
But I do like to take breaks for different reasons from herbs and whatnot. But in general, there's 2 points here at the base of the palm of your hand.
Okay.
And it's said that this is each side of your ovaries.
All right.
And so if people, if you find yourself, you do have cramping during pre-cramping or during your cycle or after your cycle, you could try this. I'm not saying it's going to work 100% of the time, but you apply pressure for 20 to 25 minutes on both of these points, and it's hard to see on the radio.
Right. But basically, if you're holding your palm out, you have a line that runs straight down the middle.
Down the middle, yeah.
And you're on either side of that line.
It's on both sides, right above that wrist crease.
Yeah.
And so you'll find a tender point there, and it'll be way more tender. Right now it's actually a little tender on me, but it'll be way more tender when I'm on my cycle, to the point where it's like, it hurts my hand.
Wow.
But wait a minute, my ovaries don't hurt anymore.
Interesting.
And so, you can grab, a pen or just like a key, just like this.
Yeah.
Anything that'll help you apply more pressure with less effort.
Okay.
It would be
leverage
easier just because, there's more leverage. You can do it while you're watching TV mindlessly. You're not, like, straining yourself.
Right.
They sell dedicated tools for this on, anywhere online. And I think they're called just acupressure pen or tools. And they have, like, a blunt tip. Sometimes it's, like, thinner than other times. Like, it'll be a thinner tip, and then on the other side it'll be a more blunt, thicker tip.
Nice.
And I always advise 25 to 30 minutes of pure pressure holding. That would be like, close to equivalent of, half the time of an actual needle being inside of there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And
so acupressure and acupuncture work off of similar principles as far as these meridians and these points and what they affect. But one is actually puncturing the skin and
penetrating deeper, really.
Right.
And kind of in an easier way, because you get to just lay there. Right?
Yeah.
And then the other one, you don't have a needle, which there's a lot of people out there afraid of needles.
Sure.
But even to them, I would say balance out the ailment that you have and see if it weighs out to your fear of needles.
Right.
And it's funny to me.
Seems like it's a lot of effort and a lot of time pushing on this thing.
It takes double, triple the time to penetrate sometimes, depending on the technique. I mean, and the person doing it, if there's someone dedicated to acupressure and they know what they're doing, they can energetically actually press these points and achieve good results. But, for you to do it yourself, I'm not going to say you won't get as deep. You possibly can, but just go to your acupuncturist.
Right, exactly. A good acupuncturist, you don't feel those needles at all. They just boom. And
there are certain points in your body that it's almost inevitable that you're going to feel a tingle. But any point that tingles should not stay tingling the whole time.
Right.
That means they hit a nerve.
Yeah.
It happens a lot with practitioners, and I think this point PC6 right at your wrist. There's a lot of nerves here. If you don't get it just right, it hurts the nerve right away, and it's like, ow.
Yeah.
And you want to check out in with the patient and be like, hey, did that little pain go away? They're like, no, it kind of just still lingers. They didn't get the point right.
Yeah.
And so you either want to take it out and maybe try it the next time, or the other hand, or distract them, or make them think, you're not going to put it in. Or
yeah, then do it again. Just
and then just maybe not do it till the next time. But that means that you hit a nerve, and it shouldn't hurt.
Fair enough.
So, and the crazy thing is that sometimes you'll, be done with your set of needles. Person was absolutely fine, didn't complain about any of them. And then, you come back and you're like, getting feedback from them, whether you ask or you didn't. I usually know, but like, they say, it's crazy. I felt this point at my leg on the lateral side. They described this point in their body. And I let them know there's absolutely no needle there.
Wow.
And then I'm like, you can watch me. I'm going to take all the needles out. And then you can look at that point and you can let me know if there's a needle there.
Right.
And they'll be like, oh, there was no needle there. Or sometimes there was a needle there, but they didn't feel it till halfway through the treatment.
Huh.
And so that's, I don't know, one of the beautiful things I think about this medicine is how you can energetically feel that in different ways.
Yeah. So what do you think causes, it seems almost like a phantom experience. I mean, what would cause you to feel something that didn't happen? Hi, this is Joe Grumbine, and I wanted to share an update. The platform that hosts this podcast has made some changes to the subscriber settings, and we have a number of subscriber-only episodes that we offer to the supporters, and for a minimum of $3 a month, we can get you signed up. And if you're already signed up and you're having some kind of trouble locating these episodes in the other platforms, I would say maybe the best answer is to unsubscribe and then resubscribe. I'm sorry for the hassle. I don't have any way to make a change, but I'm very grateful for all the support. Thank you.
A lot of things. So I think there's so much happening inside of your body when you have different combinations of needles that it's going to direct the energy where it needs to.
Okay.
And so that's my theory. I don't know if that's backed by anything, but I feel like there was attention needed in that area. And so you felt a sensation there where, I've actually never asked, but maybe next time I'll ask, was that point ever numb, or did you have some type of ailment in that area? Is there scar tissue there?
Sure.
Any one of these things could be the reason why you're energetically directed to there. Or maybe even deeper. Is it on a meridian level where that part of your leg is actually attached to the shoulder?
I was going to say,
that's what we're healing.
They stick a needle in your foot to help your head.
Yeah.
So clearly,
yeah,
you're connected on that level. So it would actually make sense that you could feel a thing or not feel a thing when it was stimulated by this other thing, as long as they're connected in some way.
My favorite is when you get a twitch, or the person states they felt immediate heat or cold from a point. And there's a thing called dequi, DEQI. Probably saying that very wrong, but it's the arrival of chi at that point. Okay. And it's fun to actually see that happen when you do. It's actually you put the needle in and then there's a twitch. Or you put the needle in and you're kind of going a little deeper and then you get the twitch and you're like, okay, stop there.
Nice.
That is the good point for that spot, because they describe it as the arrival of chi to that point.
Nice.
And it's a good sign that you got the point exactly where it's supposed to be.
Yeah. No, it sounds like that's quite an affirmation. I know some people, when they do Reiki, they can get warmth and things like that.
Yeah, similar thing.
Yeah. It's interesting. So I know you were telling me that you do this energetic massage. Tell me about that.
So it's not so much energetic the way Reiki is, where, the hands kind of hover over the body and then you feel the energy of the person. It's energetic in the sense that it's plugged into the wall.
Right. This is actual
charged.
energy. This is electricity.
Yeah. So it's very similar to a TENS unit that the chiropractors use, where it's like
tick, 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 tick. Yeah.
Or like E-stem.
They do that with the
machines.
acupuncture.
Yeah,
sometimes.
acupuncture. You do the E-stem on the tip of the needle.
Yeah.
But it's through my hands, so it's called DDS, or direct detoxifying system.
Okay.
It's also called bioelectric massage, and it's a closed loop between the patient and I. The patient has 2 patches at their hips or at their pelvis or back, depending on what we're working on.
Okay.
And then the energetic current for me is below my feet. And then there's a wet towel applied above the pad on my feet. And I'm barefoot. And so depending on how much weight I put on the towel, that's how much current output there will be.
Oh, okay. So
and
you
then
can.
the machine itself is also from 0 to 9.
Okay.
So you can also change.
So you have actually an input of current, and then you kind of micro adjust it based on how connected you are to it.
Yeah, and then depending on what part of the body, because I always start the session by what we call opening up the back, which in theory, the lower dantian is the root of all energy, which is the area below your belly button and above your pubic symphysis.
Okay.
Makes sense that, that's where birth comes
Right.
from,
That's where all the good stuff happens, right? Yeah.
And so for 15 minutes, I basically open up your back, and then from there, I go to dedicated areas depending on time, depending on what areas need the work in your body. And for the face, I always lower the intensity because I usually work at a 9.
Okay.
The face, forearms, and calves are very sensitive. And so if I don't lower it, it's a lot of work of me like hovering my feet. So I usually lower the intensity to about a 6 or a 7, where it's like putting out less electricity, and then I could sit my feet a little more comfortably.
Right. That makes sense.
But what it does is it penetrates deeply to regenerate the cells at a deeper level.
Nice.
And the way I found out about it is I was recovering from ACL surgery. I had a climbing accident, and it just felt heavy. It felt, kind of red and inflamed. And I learned about this bioelectric technique while I was in Chinese medicine school.
Oh, okay.
And so after the first treatment, it was just my leg was way lighter. I stood up and was like, it doesn't feel heavy at all.
Yeah.
And I was instantly hooked, and I was doing it.
Yeah. When something works for you, it's pretty easy to jump right on in.
Yeah, and the person that was doing it on me was looking for students to teach.
Nice.
And so, after a couple treatments, I was like, all right, I got to learn this. It's
I
like
love
hand
it.
in hand to what I'm already learning. And he taught me everything he knew, and the rest is history. I'm still practicing it. I definitely don't practice when I'm on my cycle.
Yeah.
And as far as teaching people, I do think, there's room for that, and I would like to teach people in the future, possibly. Not the project I'm looking to pick up right now.
Right.
But I do know it takes a certain constitution type of person, and there would have to be some kind of screening.
Yeah.
And people to know their limits as to how much they can do, because it really does take a lot out of you to be able to.
Sounds like it would, especially being a conduit, flowing current through you. That's
exactly.
It's a big deal.
You gotta be healthy. You gotta make sure you're nourished, or else. I don't even want to know what happens. But,
right.
But I feel like that is one of those things that would require a certain constitution type of person to.
Nice. So that's quite a repertoire you have there.
Yeah.
Anything else that you do that?
In general, I like just working with people's health in general. So I do gua sha and tuina as well, which are more also traditional Chinese medicine modalities. And
so when somebody comes to you, are they coming to you for a specific therapy, or are they coming to you as a practitioner?
Most people come to me as a practitioner, and I let them know what I think is best for their body.
Okay.
I also
so somebody comes and says, I have this problem.
Yes.
And then what can you do? And then you think about it and talk to them, and you're like, well.
And sometimes, it's like herbs can go the furthest.
Yeah.
And so let's talk again on your next visit.
Yeah.
Or sometimes, off the bat, I know that they don't qualify for the bioelectric, because in that case, you can't have any heart condition, and you can't have any metal plates in your body. If you do, then you just let me know, and then we can avoid that area. But the main thing is any heart condition.
Yeah.
And so if you
heart
do,
and
you're
electricity is pretty
automatically
important.
out of that.
Yeah. No pacemakers. Yeah, exactly.
No pacemakers. Yeah. So most people do come and kind of just like are seeking just what's going to be best for them.
Right.
And then we go from like what their ailments are and advising what works for them, and hopefully hit the ticket and get them back to health within a couple sessions or a couple months, depending on how long they've been dealing with it, right?
So is there, as you're getting people coming to you for various reasons, I'm sure, is there one of these modalities that you tend to lean on more than the others, just simply because it's more appropriate because of the things people bring to you?
Are you saying, do I have kind of a favorite modality?
Just one that you lean to more for some reason or another. I mean, it could just be the people that...
Lately, bioelectric, definitely. Just because I feel like it definitely goes very deep, and depending on what we're working on, it just... People see almost instant results when they get up and off the table.
Nice.
Of course, I love acupuncture.
Yeah.
And I've seen that work pretty quickly as well on myself and other people. And so it's one of my favorite modalities as well. And then depending on what it is, honestly, I have this guy that has like been sleeping on his arm, and he was getting tingles. And within one cupping session, we went a week without seeing each other. He's like, "Oh, my arm was great. It didn't start tingling until last night." And so that was like a full week after him dealing with this for at least 3-4
a week
months.
of relief. What's that worth, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Anytime you're suffering pain or lack of mobility and you get relief, that's like,
yeah.
Trust me, that's the
it's
world.
Huge.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, this is awesome. I gotta keep doing that for sure.
Awesome. So, this is a fantastic introduction. I think that I'm confident we're going to work really well together. We're building a community, and part of what I like to do is, let people know, like, we're going to have listeners going, "Oh, I need to reach her." So tell me about how can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, well, I am on the World Wide Webs. You can email me at Vanessa at theviberevive.com. I'm on Instagram. The handle is The Vibe Revive.
Nice.
And my website will be up and running soon, hopefully within the next month. The website, as you can imagine, is theviberevive.com,
nice.
But it is not up right now. There's literally just a stock photo.
Okay.
Where you can sign up for the email list, and you are welcome to do so. And
nice.
I've got, monthly blogs that I'll be sending out. What else?
Well, hopefully soon you're going to be listed on our Gardens of Hope website.
Appreciate that.
We're building our team of practitioners and partners and sponsors and all these different connections we have with various groups and people and companies.
This is a beautiful space, and I'd love to come back and host some retreat space and collaborate to other people's retreat dreams.
I love it.
So if anybody is already in the community and you are going to be out here with Joe hosting space, if you would like a pop-up practitioner, I am pop-up ready.
I love it.
So I have my canopy. I actually do pop-ups locally every third Saturday. Lately I've been doing the Queer Mercado at East LA Civic Center.
Nice. That's actually how you met, Cynthia.
That's how I met Cynthia. Yeah, it's a beautiful space, and that's definitely more limited as to what my modalities are.
Sure.
But they're still very effective.
And you find something in common, and it gives you a place to start the conversation.
Definitely. And then if anyone's in the area, or if you're not and you want to travel, I am in Highland Park.
Okay.
So 90042 zip code.
Nice.
And the exact location is disclosed after booking.
I like it.
So shoot me an email or DM me on Instagram, and that would be the best way to get a hold of me.
Perfect. And all the details we're going to put in the description of the show, and you can send me all that stuff, and I'll make sure we plug it in. Awesome. Well, thank you, Vee.
So
it's
much.
been a pleasure, and I look forward to continuing this conversation.
Pleasure's all mine. Thank
This
you.
has been another edition of the Healthy Living Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Grumbine, and we'll see you next time. This has been another episode of the Healthy Living Podcast. We produce this show so that people can share their stories, people that have overcome obstacles, people that are undergoing obstacles. We're building a community of health-minded individuals. If you're interested in supporting the show, please leave a review on the platform you're listening to it on. If you're interested in becoming a guest, please send an email to itsjoegrumbine@gmail.com, or you can send a note into the notes section of the podcast. All right. Well, thank you for supporting this show, and we hope you've enjoyed it.